Hey, it's Matt Sullivan, and thanks for joining us for another TechCom Tools podcast. Today I interviewed Joe Welinske. We talked about his WritersUA Conference, some of the speakers that are going to be there, and some of the themes, along with some other things he's got going on with mobile assistance and mobile usability, and also the update to his mobile assistance book. So check out all of the links for those things down below this video. I hope you enjoy the interview. Thanks. Hey, so it's Matt Sullivan, and we're having the interview with Joe Welinske from WritersUA. And so, Joe, thanks for being here today. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
We've got your upcoming October conference in Charleston on October 28th and 29th for WritersUA. Now, you've moved WritersUA to a little bit more of a regional model, yes?
Yeah, you never know how you're going to do things long term, but
Sure.
I get a lot of feedback all the time from people that, for whatever reason, it's just not practical for them to be able to, travel certain distances from their home base. And so I'll try something different going into this year. And so there's going to be East Coast is going to be in Charleston, South Carolina. In October. Last year we did it in Newport. We had a really good time there, approximately the same time frame, and then
yeah, that sounded like a good show. I wasn't able to make the East Coast stuff, but that's I know that's one of the reasons you went to the regional is these days getting people to move beyond their backyard is a little bit tough. So hopefully you get a little bit more local draw.
And then January,
smaller event. Yeah.
Do Austin in January, and that's the Central, and then West Coast will be in the spring somewhere along the West Coast, maybe Seattle.
Cool. Little Pacific Northwest sounds like. Good deal.
Yeah.
Now, for those that might not be familiar, talk a little bit about WritersUA and particularly maybe the history and the theme that you cover at your conferences.
Well, the main thing that I've always been involved in is software user assistance, which I look at really broadly as any kind of helpful information to people that are using software, whether that's locally installed, whether it's web services, it could be Windows-based. The last few years, I've worked a lot with mobile apps, working with video development, embedded help, guided help, any kind of information that we put together. But my main area is in things that are in support of software. So the area that I don't spend a lot of time in is more general documentation that's not related to software. And so I do a lot of contracting work and put on a few events related to that topic. And but lately I've been doing a lot of project work. In fact, I'm doing this from one of my regular clients that I do work for is Blink, which is a user research and design firm in Seattle. And
cool.
So normally I would do these from my my own office, but actually, I don't know, see if Blink is downtown, and let's see if I can get that right. Anyway, that's the there's the Seattle waterfront, so they have a great spot right here.
Yeah, that's nice.
So now I messed up my video, but I'll get that. Yep. All right.
Well, I know that for a couple years now, you certainly have been speaking a lot on mobile user assistance and then on mobile usability as well. So yeah, it's I would imagine how much of the so for the WritersUA is there for this one coming up in Charleston, do you have like a specific theme, other than the general theme that WritersUA always has? Is there anything you're kind of specializing in for this one?
No, it's a variety of topics, so you can see that on the website. But responsive design is of interest to a lot of people, so we have several sessions on that. Mobile UA isn't just it's not just about small screen devices. There's techniques that can apply beyond that. Like one of the topics I'm doing is on aggressively reducing the amount of content. And so I kind of talk about that in my university classes, the students about like not just taking out a few words here and there, but looking at your documentation and setting a threshold like 25% of what you have and how can I get there?
Yeah.
And it freaks people out, but the reality is that
It's, yeah.
like, just me reflecting back on, 25 years of doing this stuff, I wonder if 5% of the stuff that I've written has ever actually helped anybody and read by anybody. And but when I do,
think it is.
you like to think it, I think I'm doing a good job, but I'll like do the best job I can, and then I'll do usability tests on documentation, which I've done a lot over the last 5 years, and set out a use case where I actually do it with people to try and work through a problem.
Yeah.
And it's never right the first time that I do it. And
well, not only that, but you can't get any metrics on it because there's no statistically relevant sample that you can, it's just like somebody clicked here and nobody clicked here, but does that mean anything? Yeah.
Yeah. But when you sit there and you do it with people, however you want to take that to represent your broader audience.
Sure.
Fact is, if you get 5 people in a room and they all get stuck on key parts of your procedure, you have to rethink what it is. A lot of times it's just the context of it and you not understanding where people's heads are at as they get into whatever procedure you put together. But I think if you don't test your documentation to some extent, you have no clue about whether it's actually useful or not.
Well, you look at, talk about, those concepts of minimalism and just reduction. I think straight out reduction. You look at how Apple documents half their products, and it's the TV ads and the release videos and just the general, that accessible design where things are intuitive, they're discoverable, and they're investing in the UI instead of having to invest in the documentation, because if you can't figure out how to use an iPad or an iPod, more specifically an iPod, there's not much I can do for you. So get that good design in there.
But a lot of people don't realize that Apple makes a really good PDF user guide for every one of their iPhone, iPod, and iPad products that they've ever had.
Right.
And what percent of people use those is probably small, but when you have 300 million customers or whatever, then that's like still a big number. But the point is, they do a lot of different things to support people.
Yeah.
And so, by the way, if your boss ever says nobody uses PDFs anymore, you can point them to the Apple documentation site and you say, well, here's the iPhone 5S PDF set up for an 8.5 by 11 print,
which has been downloaded 3 million times. Yeah. So you mentioned your university class. Now you're doing that with UCSC. That's Santa Cruz, correct? Is that University of Santa Cruz?
It's University of California, Santa Cruz, Silicon Valley Extension.
Got it.
It's mobile user assistance, and they only do that once a year, and it's in the summer, and this is the 3rd time we've done it, and so we're finishing up with that, and that, that's a good course because we have a lot of time to go through a lot of things over the 5 weeks of the course, even though it's online. And then I do a usability course that's both in person and online through Bellevue College, as well as a bunch of other tech writing and document design classes.
Great.
And the UW, University of Washington Extension, is starting a new technical writing certificate program, and I'm going to be teaching in that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I am my application to teach in that Santa Cruz Extension program is a little overdue. So I hope to meet you in that program if I ever get my paperwork in. So yeah, I know Andrea Ames does a great job with that. Now that's a fully online program, correct, through the extension?
Yeah, if there's an in-person part, I
I'm not aware yet.
Know anything about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's all
I
online.
think it's all online. I know she does a great job with that program. Well, great. So we got the dates, we got the location. What hotel you focusing on for the one in Charleston here? Anything interesting?
So it's the Charleston Harbor Resort and Marina, which is a little resort right across the bridge from the old town, and it's right on the water. It's got its own little beach and kind of nice, relaxing spot. But then there's shuttle buses to make the quick trip over to the old town, which we'll do at some point during on one of the nights that we're doing the event.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like a good time. Who's as far as the speakers you got? Probably have some new ones and some old ones. Who have you got that? Who's kind of headlining some of the, maybe the keynotes, and then who have you got new that that people might not be familiar with?
Well, John Daigle
is
going to be. He's going to be there talking about responsive design.
Fantastic. And he's more than overdue for some of these conference sessions, huh? Boy, he's always in the background. He never gets up on the mic.
Yeah, right. I mean, the funny thing about John is that he's he's still cranking along.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon, even though he's been working on these things for a long time. So,
well,
and his topic on responsive design is one that more and more people are interested in. Just the idea of being able to support our content on different device types and being able to do that in an efficient way that's practical to be able to support. And so it'll be should be some good talks on that. And then also he talks a lot about RoboHelp and Captivate.
Perfect.
And also Scott Deloach is going to be coming from Miami and talking about Flare and also HTML, CSS.
Yeah, right up his alley there, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anita Horsley is going to be participating, and she's going to she specializes in e-learning and does a lot of work with
Captivate,
Adobe products with Captivate, and so she's going to be talking about some techniques related to that as well as e-learning. And I'm going to be talking about mobile user assistance, also writing concisely. I mentioned that. Aggressive reduction of content, also the language of content, or the language of touch, what it means to write procedures specifically for touch interfaces, and how we're able to support that. Larry Coons is going to be visiting from the Chapel Hill or Raleigh, Durham area, and talking about some management issues for putting together documentation plans, working with groups that are distributed around the world. Larry hasn't been involved in the event for quite a while. Nikki Tremaine from Blackbaud is going to be talking about what they're doing in terms of video development. And so we'll have a variety of different types of user assistance topics presented, and it's all on our website now.
Perfect. Yep. That's WritersUA.com, yes?
Yeah, that's the best starting point, and then there's pointers to the different events.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, we'll have some a registration link included with this video, and so you and I will get that together and make sure that's proper. Also would love to, we're going to get a list of some of the speakers that you've got going, reach out to them, and hopefully we get some interviews on their sessions. Definitely we'll get, I would imagine we'll at least get John and a few others. We'll get that gravelly.
Yeah, I didn't mention Neil Perlin.
Okay. Perfect.
Neil Perlin's going to give some talks related to Flare, and so you'll be a good person to talk to as well.
Yeah, we'll get that going. Get a couple of interviews on that to help you out, get the word out, and hopefully get a few numbers into South Carolina and your other events. Cool. Well, is there anything else that you got going on that you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just about done with the second edition of my book on user assistance for mobile apps. And so the first edition came out in 2011, and it was kind of a thin book, about 115 pages, but now it's up to 420 pages, and it should be out published by the end of this month.
Great.
So it should have September 1st is my kind of idea date that I have for having it out. And so, yeah, there's just pretty much everything that I've learned in the last 3 years has been added into the book. And so another 300 and some pages of information. Hopefully somebody will find it useful. It was kind of interesting that Steve Krug, who wrote the book Don't Make Me Think, very, very popular book. I'd never met him or talked to him, and just out of the blue last week, I had an email from him that came through one of my public links, and he was writing about this help project that he was working on, and that it was going to be in support of a mobile app. And he said, I have your first edition of your book. I just got that, but then I saw that there's a new edition, and blah blah blah. I thought that was kind of interesting, and so I sent him a preview of the second edition. But so hopefully people find it useful. I think it's an area that a lot of people are still trying to figure out how they can, how it fits into the regular work that they do or they've been doing. And it's kind of a mixed bag. I think a lot of the things that we're experienced with as UA professionals fit in really well. But on the other hand, it's the opportunities that are there require you to really rethink what it means to create communication for these small screen mobile devices. So
yeah. Well, glad to hear that the second edition's coming out. It looks like it's your page count's starting to edge up on my FrameMaker boat anchor. So
I'll never be as big as your FrameMaker book now. How many pages is your Frame?
I'm thinking that's around 700. Yeah, and that was cut down. Yeah. So I inherited that from Sarah O'Keefe, and I think hers tipped the scales at about 800. So we pared down a lot, rethought some of the ways that we handled the pagination, and then and got it down quite a bit with new material. So we'll see. Yeah, I think a Frame 13 is about the next version of that one. Yeah. Oh, in fact, the EPUB, I know we just stopped offering the EPUB version of that, I think today. Yeah, today. So that's direct. I'm going to be handling the distribution of that directly. But when you get that second edition out, I'm going to put a link to your current edition at the bottom of this, just in the text below this interview. But remind me, which I'm sure you'll remember at some point, but when it comes out, remind me, and I'll put the link to the new edition in there as well and make sure that's part of here.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Well, good. Any final thoughts for everybody?
I mean, I've seen more people that I run into, colleagues and new people into the field wanting to learn about data. I know in my WritersUA surveys, it was always like 20% of respondents to the surveys indicated that data was important to the things that they do. But I started doing a introduction to data class at Bellevue College, and it sold out the first couple of times that I did it. And so that was pretty encouraging. It was a hands-on course, and so I think more and more people are seeing it pop up in job descriptions, and so be interesting to see how that trend continues.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, forward me the information on that as well. I'll put that in there. And, anything that you've got going on, especially the things that we touched on in here, we'll make it as easy as possible for people to find it just by clicking through and getting to that content. Cool. All right. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I don't think I'm going to be in Charleston. Maybe Austin. We'll see how it goes. And more than likely, I usually get your West Coast stuff. So a little bit less air travel for me there.
Yeah. All right.
Good. Well, thanks for being on. I'll go ahead and close down the recording, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Matt.